Hi y'all, hi humans. I wanted to get on here and talk to y'all about the preseason game we just had against the Chargers. I'm gonna break this into parts. I'm gonna talk about the defense and I'm gonna talk about the offense in a separate video because I just feel like for me there's just a lot to talk about, and that's just me. I don't know about everybody else, but for me, yeah. Also too, I want to get into like the next team this week, so I'm trying to go ahead and get done with this Chargers information because it feels like we just kind of been stuck with them for a while. So I want to start by saying, like, as content creators, if we are bringing attention to every penalty, everything that Tyler Smith does, I feel like we are wronging him. And I say that because we have such a level of influence that I feel like a lot of the narratives that come from, that are in the media, that we do see on the four-letter networks, are from content creators. So I wanted to say that I feel like we have to be a little bit more conscious of the narratives that we're pushing out there, because the penalty things were pushed so much last week. I felt like it overshadowed some of the play that Tyler had, and it happened in this game too, where he got the false start, and you could immediately see on social media that people were just so deflated. And I'm like, this guy basically single-handedly pushed this drive. Like, he literally was the difference maker with Farniak and McGovern and company. We'll talk about that later. But I feel like we cannot just emphasize on his every mistake he in particular makes. If he is improving there, then we have to give him credit there and move on. And that's what I have to say about that. Alright, so getting into some of the good things that I saw, Israel Mukuamu, he actually is one of my bigger surprises through camp, and also, well, through this this end part of camp, I'll say, because that's when I think I started really noticing him. And obviously here in this preseason game, I felt like Izzy had, so the preseason this year is short. It's short. Guys don't have a lot of time to show, especially like if you want to get the game reps. They don't have a lot of opportunity to show what they can do. So I felt like, just like Deron Bland came in last game where he was like, this is the game where I sell them. This is the game where I come in and I show them what I'm capable of. And he kind of took over. I felt like that's what Izzy did this game too. And he just was everywhere this game. He was everywhere at the beginning of the game, making tackles behind the line of scrimmage. He's a lot more chippy than he was last year. And I've always felt like he had the fearlessness to him, but I think that his body just needed to catch up, and we've seen that from quite a few guys. So this is very normal. And like we talked about earlier, last week, is that we, in this Dan Quinn coaching regime, we have to really look at what they're able to do on the teaching side and allow them to teach, so we can continue to see development. So I'm actually really happy about what I saw with Izzy, because that free safety spot behind, Malik Hooker, there's not really a solidified two guys. So seeing Izzy come along, I think, is healthy for what they're trying to do in the secondary, and it's so dope just to see that improvement from him there, especially in the run game, especially in tackling. Okay, so I want to stay on the secondary while we're there. So Nashawn Wright, no mistake about it, he definitely had a difficult game this game. You kind of saw his length and his hip turn really affect him being able to stay sticky in coverage, and guys got behind him and they were able to get separation. It's frustrating because you see good things from him sometimes, and then you see good things from Kelvin Joseph sometimes. So it's just like, I think these guys are in this in-between place where they're almost like both of them are like a tick behind, and they are just going into their second year. I really could see this Cowboys keeping both of these gentlemen and continuing to develop them, because they both have things. Like with Kelvin Joseph, we had a couple pass breakups. I'm telling you, I feel like he is just a half a tick behind, and I definitely have to check myself and look at him as a human being. And even though a lot of people feel a way about a lot of the things that transpired with him in this off season, he is still a human being, and we would be remiss to think that this isn't something that maybe will be affecting him on the field. So I want to be fair with him. I want to be fair with these gentlemen and continue to see them develop. But then also remember that Jordan Lewis is dealing with some type of injury right now, so either one of those guys or Deron Bland could have to step up into that 3 spot. So we need to just keep an eye on that position. I felt like there were less big plays this game, but some of these backup quarterbacks been threading the needle. I'm just being honest. Like, am I tripping? Also, Deron Bland had a quieter game this game, but he still was out there making tackles. I honestly think that he thinks he's a linebacker at this point. Also, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I gotta cheat. Marquise Bell, again, convinced that he thinks he's a linebacker. And one thing about this secondary in particular, if you are not willing to come up and tackle, you can't play here. And that's one of the dopest things that I've been seeing about, just the team in general right now, is that overall they feel like they look like they have such it's effort. Like, it's a lot of effort with tackling, and I love that so far. All right, now going to the linebackers. So Jabril Cox made some good plays in the beginning of the game. He's slashing, getting into the filling gaps well, and getting into the lanes. Oh, he's gonna want that sack that he missed back, because he was right there. He kind of it's like, I don't know if he pulled up or if the quarterback just slipped under him, but I think he's gonna want that back. He showed some of his coverage ability. I feel like with Jabril Cox, I just feel like we're gonna see him a lot more than what I thought. Like, initially I thought, like, okay, this gentleman's gonna need another year or whatever, but I could just see them using him more than what it was expected, especially with Anthony Barr kind of being, well, us not really knowing particularly what his role is gonna be, and then also Leighton Vander Esch. He's, again, had a better camp, but there's an overall speed on this defense that I think needs to be matched. So we'll see how they work him in, but I like what I've seen from him being willing to tackle, because that is something in college that it felt like, not that he strayed away from, but it was definitely a weak point in his game. So that's something I really love seeing from Jabril Cox. Now, I think it's Malik Jefferson tater tots. I pulled out my depth chart. Yes, Jefferson. I can see this gentleman, linebacker number 45. I can see this gentleman making this team, and I feel like right now he's kind of in competition with Luke Gifford. They both give you some good coverage as on special teams, so that battle was kind of interesting to me, because he's really started to make plays, Jefferson. So I'm really curious to see what happens with him as well, but he had a pretty solid game too. Okay, so getting into defensive line, Chauncey Golston. Well, that's number one. Chauncey Golston, y'all. Like, so Chauncey Golston, this game, it looked like they started him off and playing DT, and then they moved him to edge. There was one play in particular that I saw I saw him literally take two gentlemen into the quarterback. Like, he took two players into the quarterback, and him and Sam Williams, they met at the quarterback. And we'll get into Sam. We'll talk about Sam. But Chauncey Golston and his versatility, it's just crazy, because when he was drafted, I looked at him, I thought he was just going to be like a tank replacement, really stout in the run like he was in Iowa off the edge. But with the size that he is put on, this man is pushing people around. And I think he is going to be a menace in the middle of offensive lines. I feel like he's going to give people problems, and he just adds another wrinkle, because he can go from here to here to here. And again, you just don't know where this gentleman is going to be coming from. And with the run defense, that's what you want. Also too, with Sam Williams, I tweeted that I like what I'm seeing from Sam. Baldy's doing breakdowns on him regularly. Shout out to Baldy. But I want him to disengage better. He's going to be so sick with himself when he looks at this film, because there were so many times he was right by the quarterback. I mean, he was basically blowing past the quarterback, and this is something that teams will use against you. Your aggressiveness, they will use against you. As soon as he figures out how to get people's hands off of him, as soon as he figures how to disengage, if I'm not mistaken, he would have had 2 sacks in that game. He would have had 2 sacks in that game, maybe 3. Maybe a combo sack. But it's just, with him, we talked about it, this is something he's gonna continue to develop. He's gonna continue to get the coaching. But also too, in the preseason, this is something I want to talk about when we're talking about the defensive line. Because there's really no scheming, because there's really no game plan, you're really seeing almost one-on-ones. Like, when guys are beating each other, 9 times, especially on the defensive line, defensive offensive line, 9 times out of 10, they are just single-handedly beating the person next to them, unless there's some type of miscommunication or something. So I don't want to take away from every time these guys are getting pressures or getting near the quarterback, because it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Trysten Hill, I told y'all what, almost 3 months ago, that Trysten Hill was going to be on this team. I mean, my horn, I'm not gonna horn, but yes, I definitely said, with his ferocity and how he plays the game, how he already played the game, I already know he is a true one tech and he doesn't have a lot of flexibility. I get it, but the guy, and his get off is something that people loved about him in college anyway, but to see it translating here on the field, like, he's been consistent, and that's what I look for. I look for consistency, and this man has consistently made plays, got the strip sack and the recovery in this game. Trysten Hill, to me, would be a very difficult person to cut from this team right now. And I know some people are talking about trade him and stuff, but listen, y'all, don't forget, don't have short-term memory. Injuries happen, and they happened early for us last year, and our rookies and some of our second stringers are the only thing that kept us afloat. So y'all don't be getting all high and mighty forgetting. We need to keep the guys that are good on this team. I understand we need a tackle. I get it. I understand we need a swing tackle. We're going to talk about that later. It's starting to rain when I start talking about the swing tackle. However, what we have right now on that defensive line, especially when you start talking about the middle of that defensive line, depth-wise, is cool. Now, I could see it's going to be difficult to make cuts on this team. The Cowboys are going to have to finagle. They're going to have to figure out how to work, you know, putting some guys on the practice squad, putting some guys on IR. Like, they're going to have to figure it out, because there's so many gentlemen on this team that can make this roster. And I ain't going to lie to y'all, I'm sick to see them go to another team and probably get reps. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. Okay, y'all got to wrap it up because it's getting dark. I'm going to have to do the part 2 inside the house. With Bohanna coming in this year and really, you know, showing us what's up and showing us the improvement that he made in the offseason, I feel like a gentleman like Carlos Watkins, who has had a good preseason, don't get it twisted. I watched him into the beginning of the third quarter yesterday. Don't get it twisted. But there's other gentlemen who have more upside, and so I can see him being one of the guys who gets cut and is maybe brought back, or we just say bye to him all the way around. Also with Ridgeway coming in, 5th rounder, I watched him into the third, fourth quarter this game. I watched him last game as well. He showed why they brought him here in the first place in the run game. He is not afraid to take on double teams and to really eat up blocks. So I could see Watkins being one of those gentlemen that it has to be let go. It's gonna suck, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like there's gonna be a couple gentlemen we're gonna say bye to that are gonna be difficult to say like bye to, and that's just me. But also the edges. Out of all the edges, if you had to pick an edge that was gonna go, it would be that gentleman. And so, even though he's had good showings this last couple of games, there are other gentlemen on this team that have more upside. And so those are the things that I noticed in this game on the defensive side of the ball so far. The team overall on that side of the ball just has its effort. They have such a, and I've said it before, I keep saying it over and over again, I'm sorry y'all, just a willingness to fly to the ball, to tackle, to make sure you wrap up, to make sure you're on cue. And that's something I mean, when you see it from your second and your third stringers, you understand that that's something that is being pushed through the organization, through that side of the ball. So I wanted to very quickly say that Bryan Anger's not getting enough love out here. He's getting a lot of practice. He's getting a lot of practice on in these preseason games, and he is booting them motherfucker. So I will talk about the kickers in the next video, and I will talk to y'all later. Please follow me on Twitter, Aisha with 2 eyes, and I'll be back with the part 2 video. Bye, y'all.